This is Gerald van Was. I have a theory that gives you a lot of possibilities to understand the letters in the words. There are ways to understand them as a formation process that you can see how they are formed around the letters and the letters' positions. The same positions tells us a lot of how we approach things. It also tells us a way how we organize things. There's a kind of organization that I have also already explained in several ways. I will not repeat myself too much, so I will also give you different approaches. What also will matter is not just the formation process, not just our focuses, but also our push in a way that we have an impression, oh, I know what I have here, and I do something with it. This kind of push forward is that kind of push of the voice that I have also announced a couple of times, this push forward that says, I know what I'm talking about, I have a voice, a strong voice, and I want to continue with it, and I interpret in that way. The way we interpret is also telling us a lot of how we organize things. And we have an organization on three levels, one in space, one in time, and one in context. And our first vision starts in the organization of space, where we organize also what we recognize them. And there, when we recognize things, we push our organization talent further and interpret things in the same way further, until we have some kind of feedback that also tells us that if this is correct or not correct, and it will react accordingly with the letters that fit to that as well. So, and the way how you can interpret that as well. And this video will be about this forward push as well, which I also explained in the W, but this forward push will bring you to also positions of choices sometimes, that you say, okay, I can go that much with my push forward, or I have to restrain myself a little bit. And that kind of balance between that, okay, I have the impression that I can do something here, between I have to restrain myself a little bit, is very much expressed in this BL combination, and I will show that in two directions. But first I go back to that kind of push forwards that I have while interpreting my vision there, and trying to make a balance between everything that I also interpret further. So I have an impression also in what I encounter, that it also is about things that I recognize and that I can use, and that I can use according to how I interpret it. But how well do we see this reality? How much can we really do something with it? There's always this balance playing around. The way that we pick out what we recognize and how we choose letters is based upon three principles, and that is that principle which I have here in white, in gray, and in black. And that white is my choice also, which also is here in blue. There's a blue push forward, and it's the yes factor. It's the yes factor that I know that I can push forward. The gray factor is that in between zone that I'm not so very sure what direction is it. I still have some freedom. Shall I go to the black part or the white part? I have that freedom. I can follow both. The black part push me down. This will be the feedback process. This will be the process which in the end will bring me down to reality. If I'm not, if I didn't see everything yet, okay, that's the point where I have to go and have a feedback to my processes that will become dominating, and that will tell me also that I can't go further, and it says no. The first 9 letters that I'm going to talk about are also in that kind of balance, also with the 2 pushes. The pushes forward with the choices A, U, C, my choices, where I start from. T, L, and M, where they're somewhat in between, and I'm just following what I can get out of it. Or K, B, and X, which are really limiting my focuses. And in which way these limits will be sensed will be expressed in this video as well. But in total, this push forward and push back in the total system will bring us into 3 zones. My first zone is where I can push my visions, where I can start from my own visions and build it up like I build up material, like I build up what I can recognize, that kind of organization, until I see that I have to deal with so many more differences, that I'm more busy with comparison of one moment against another one, choices that appear where I can see, okay, I have my vision and okay, there's another vision. They can be compared, whatever I do. And sometimes I can follow something that, okay, maybe I can reach that at some point. It's always about timing. That's a different balancing out of an organization of what I organize in my mind, or the reality which comes back to me, which is at the last in the last category of letters, the reality which becomes dominating, where you have to make some choices so that you can go back on track to what the things really are. But this kind of balance in yin and yang is that maybe I thought, yeah, maybe it's a bit too difficult to have that organized well in yin and yang, in yeses and nos, but it is possible, and I will do that now. So I have my push forwards, which I will pronounce now as yo, the push back to reality, which will be the no, and the going on reality, which gives me the opportunity that I can go any direction to what I know or to what I don't know, that I deal with that. It's the go. And you know, we always have 3 focuses, 3 kinds of focuses, which I also have announced multiple times as the spatial focus, the steady elements, the materialistic elements, the physical elements in space, which are my basic focus, basically the material I want to start to work with. Or it is about a timing that I also said, or it is about context. That's where the three regions that I have announced multiple times, but we will look at them in different ways as well. And especially now in the light of choices. And the starting point, what I have, is still allowing me to interpret them in 3 different ways. I can start with it, but yeah, is it a good start or not? The reality will give me a feedback. And in a way, it always starts with some kind of choice. And if you make that choice, it will direct you into the yes, I have chosen this and I go along with it. That's the white zone. Or I keep my free choice open. That's the gray zone. Or I limit myself, or I have to limit myself. That's the red zone. The no factor. These 3 aspects are always there in 3 times 3 zones of the 3 zones. It's always in between yes, no, or the open choice. So in that way, you always start from a starting point blue in space. Yeah, you find some directions and choices. It's also like the gray zone a bit. It's that green zone as well, because it's evolving, it's changing. You have a time factor, you deal with time, you deal with directions, you deal with changes, all these things. Or in the end, you will come to your limited range which is also the context, which tells you, okay, what do I have? I have here in between the limits, somewhere will be my real reality. And that's how I see it. I'll focus onto first I focus from underneath, from my own center, the blue center, to pick out what I want to start from in the center. It goes further, continues in the volume as a materialization process, and will find its limits, its borders, and so on, where it will say stop, and that's the no factor. So from yes to no and the in-between zone, these three factors will be there everywhere. And just an example to say like how do we make these choices? And you know, of course, the first three letters are T, A, and K. They will make my example. And we will make a choice that we make a choice like, okay, let's go with it, go and take it. Is that okay? Or I'm not so sure yet that I really know what I have here, but I go along with it and see where it gets me. Or something that says like I really don't see it, but then you can even make choices. Okay, I don't see it, but I still go along. Or I don't see it and I admit that I don't see it. So even in these three choices of yes, no, and in between zone, there are still some options, which I'm coming to that right now. You make choices. That's the and if you keep these choices open, that's the letter A, which is actually saying, okay, I go for the experience, and I see where it gets me. It's very healthy, open-minded, and so on. But you have to make choices. Some point you have to say, okay, I have things that I recognize. If it's really true, you recognize something, you say, yes, I have it. I have it. It's the T. And I go for that. And that's the positive thing. That's the yes. That's the go. You go for it. And you pick out a choice. And that's your material for your reasoning. If you don't see it, and you admit it, and say, okay, I don't have it. It's the no. Okay, and then this, you have still some choice. You can keep it open. And it will fill it in on its own. Or you say, or you don't admit it, okay, and then it will come to you that it's a breaking point. That's the breaking point of your reasoning. If you keep on reasoning with it, which you don't know, and you don't admit it, it will stop also the process in a positive way, and it will break apart everything that you have. But I have an example here. Just imagine this image there in the right. And you see there a couple of forms there. Let's focus on that brown spot there. And it's very unclear what it is. Is that now included in the cube? Is that behind the cube? Can I use it? Can I not use it? If you say, okay, yes, I can use it. It's within my cube. I give it a place, and that's on top. And then you choose to pick it out, and you choose to give it a function, and that's the letter T. That's how we make a choice in letters. This is my choice. I can use it. I choose it, and it will change your way to how you see it. It will change your vision towards it, and that's how this yes will make it look also a little bit more different. That you can pick it out. You can really focus on it. It's there. You have a focus in the space. You have pinpointed it, and there it is. If you keep that open, you have that brown spot there, and you say, I'm not sure if it fits there, but I will be open to it. I will look further into it, and I will see if it's before or behind me. I will frame it that I will use it, and I will use it somewhere. I'm not sure where yet. It can go any direction. That's the letter A. It's open to your mind is open, and it's open to learn, and that is different than the yeses and nos in the ancient computer world. There's not just yeses and nos. We learn only when we have a triple vision, the triple vision involved, and that is a yes, a no, and an I adapt. I will adapt to what I know. This will be a very sensitive, they call it quantum at some points, but that I think I think there will be better ways to describe it. It will be a way that you say, okay, I'm open to the moments that I recognize something, I frame it, and because I'm open, it will adapt to the things that you already know or already recognize, and there will be an adaptation, an automated adaptation process that will connect to the things that you already recognize in that amount, because it can vary so much. It is an open process that is very useful, that you included in between the yes and no. It will be an adaptation of what I still call a self-organization principle, which is the principle of what the sounds and letters are about. Or you just say, no, I don't think it fits there, that brown spot, it's behind it, I keep it out. And that's the no factor, and that's the K factor. That's the letter K. It already describes very well the three letters as a choice, the three letters as a recognition of that point in time and space. It really describes that already quite well, again in a different way as I did before, but you will understand. And just imagine that anyhow that brown spot has a reality, and the choice that we make of it when we have a conversation and we make up our mind and that we are going to do something with it, we make a conversation with it, we make words with it, we make an organization in philosophy or whatever, in our chats, we do something with it. It also exists. But it's always an interpretation that we do, so maybe we're not interpreting it very well. And it has a reality on its own, and it is always possible that we don't see it very well. With the A as openness, we can still, figure it out that it can have a different organization, different context at some time or another, and we adapt a little more quickly to it as well. We already made a choice and we made a mistake. Okay, well then we fall back one level from T to K, and okay, we are confronted with it, but we can still give it then a different function. It will still be okay. But if we really think it is correct, and we gave it a place somewhere and it is not correct, and we deny the fact that it can be not correct, and that we don't keep it out in no factor very much, it will break something apart in our organization of words and thinking, and it will also stop the coherency into the words and so on, because you see, it was something that didn't fit, and when we continue to move our cube, let's say, and that point leaves behind, we lose a grip on it, and our conversations and understanding of everything, how it hangs together, will lose its grip completely and will break apart, and there it will stop. If we from the beginning had said, okay, I don't know what it is, and I keep it out, it will be kept out as well, and that's actually much better, and then you can do much more with it. Admitting what you do not know is one of the most important things to do at certain times, because then it can be filled in, and you can very quickly know where it will fit and what will fit there. But it's important, of course, that you know the points of choices. If it was if you also said, I do not know that I'm sure, but I make a choice already. So if it fits still after a while, okay, then or it can still get different functions after a while. If we still keep that I don't know it very well a little bit open, like with this K as well, if we admit that you don't know, it will detach itself much more easily with more clarity. It will show its clarity. Acknowledging what you do not know, what you do not see, is in that way, in these choices of what you see and name, very important. But let's go to the next level as well. So if you really admit this, I don't know, the yeses or nos, it's very good, and could bring us also to the next level of understanding and of focus. Because the T is like you say, I see something functional, I can use it. The K is I don't know, I cannot use it, I don't know what it is. Then you go to, and admitting that part that you're not so very sure will bring you to a little bit more refined organization, which comes now, which is that you see the not so well knowing if we can really use it or not using it. That little doubt is actually quite very good, because if you say, okay, I'm going to use it, but not so sure where I can use it for or how much I can use it for, is already the next level. As you can see underneath, it's also the doubtful K, which is actually a kind of openness, this openness which lies behind the next level of T, which is U. And U is that actually starting point of where you're sure of something, but you keep a little bit of a known factor in it as well. So you're only making or describing the functionality that you understand. So U is actually a relative state of T, a relative state of yes, and you keep it functional wherever you can. It's building up only from the part that you know. Be the same thing also. You acknowledge that there are some things that you're not only not sure if they are functional, but even more that you're not sure if they will, or if they are even known. There will be factors that you do not know, and you acknowledge it, but you still continue to look at it and give attention to it, and you're not very sure if you can use it or not use it. But the fact that you acknowledge it, that you do not know if it is functional or not, it will able to grow as well, and it will able to even increase your own limits, and the limits what it is, because you can still switch it a little bit. You limit it to its own borders in a way, because you don't know the borders very well, and you're just following it. Okay, until where can I do something with? Until where can I understand it? There's a certain openness in it, and you will attach and detach where it will be necessary to do so, and you keep an open mind to it. That's why you also have in the B on the top, it will be that openness, like on the U underneath, it will be that kind of openness, which gives U a relative state of T, and B will be a relative state of K. It will not break down, it will just break open to a degree. And there will also already be some feedback then, because you will be open in B to the no factor. You keep that no factor open because something is in unknown, or in the U, you will keep that yes factor. So that push, will keep that open also towards the unknown, and that's how things can grow also. In the middle of that is, again, your choices. A is like you made the choice that you keep everything open, and you just follow everything what is going on. In L, there's also that relative state that you not always made these choices, that you keep some of these choices open, and then you see what develops from it or what it does not develop from it. You see the restricted reality already a little bit better, how it is even in the growth process, in the formation process, can be restricted in its form. It can be even have only some options, some choices in the end. So that's the next option in your decision making relative state of making choice of yes, open to choice, and no. T, A, and K were very clearly yes, making an open choice, and no. U, L, and K are still yes, open to choice, and no. But B is more like it's a no with a kind of openness. Okay, it's no now, but maybe not always. Like, there can always be a change there. U, there's also an openness, more to like, okay, I'll do something with it. Yeah, but maybe some other times I don't do something with it. Let's see what happens. Let's see how much I can do with it. I'm not sure yet, but I will limit my yeses a little bit, my feeling of yes, my push with yes. I'll limit that a little bit. Like with B, I limit my no a little bit, that I show, okay, I cannot use it. Okay, maybe I cannot use it at all now, but maybe after a while it's less. So that's the kind of learning process that is open there. But still, in making your choices, it is a push forward of your learning process, first of your opinion, understanding, and so on. But it is your process which more and more will get feedback also in your process of pushing your limits in that way. And the last part where you really acknowledge how much this is a relative state, that you keep also your yeses and nos a little bit open, gives you a third option, a third level, let's say, of the same thing. U, L, and B were a little bit a learning process. Well, T, A, and K were choices. Will you make choices? Yes, no, okay. Open to choice. U, L, B are learning process. Okay, I can go in variations. I can learn maybe a little bit more, a little bit less. The last option that you can still have is that you not just have a choice, like in T, A, and K, an openness, like in U, L, and B, but also a restriction. Because you can, maybe after a while you will notice that you cannot be have the yeses. You can have an openness to everything that you encounter. There has to be a limit there as well. You have a limit in understanding. Why should you be open or have a yes to everything? No, it's better to restrict also your starting point. Restrict it to the things that you know, and that you say, okay, these things I know and that I'm sure I can do something with. Let's follow that part. All the rest, okay, it's enough. You cannot have too much openness and learn all the time. There's a limit to that as well. The same thing on the other side. If you have, say, okay, some things does not work. Okay, maybe some things will work after a while. That's the B. Maybe some things will work after a while a little bit better. It can't be this doubt all the time. I mean, if at some point restrict your limits. You have your own limits. What you can say. Okay, some things will not work. It's no longer your thing. You don't always have to have an opinion and participate in everything and wait maybe for something to happen. Sometimes it's not just there. You don't have it. You don't know it. You're not able to participate. Restrict also your limits, not only your starting point, but also your limits. You don't have to push your limits all the time. Define your limits in X. X is That's the last point that you know. You don't know that anymore. It's not known. Point. It's not known. Some things are just not known. And that's the last of all the letters in the first category of focuses in space, in which you also make decisions. What shall I do with it? And the last category is then, of course, also defined in that way. In a way, it's also like I have defined it is slightly different. So if you say in T, yes, I go for it, then you take up the good, and you know all what's good for you, and so on, and you learn the good, and so on. You get open to it. You open to it until you see, define it to what you can use. In K, you know what you don't know already. So you also, where you also say, okay, I have, you know your limits. So you learn with the B, you learn the bad, what is bad for you. You know the bad things. You know the disadvantages, and so on. In X, it's just that's the end. That's the limit. You cannot. You can't participate in everything which is it's even not good for you anymore. Once an X should remain that you can't be interfering with that part forever. Let's now look at the series from a different viewpoint, so from the bottom up, and then we go to into a vertical direction. And we have ATK again. A, the yes factor. T, the option factor, the options factor. And K, the no factor. In which we have the blue part, the green part, the red part. Blue is also the starting point of our focus in space, by the way. The green part in the timing, so I have to give it a little bit an order. And the red zone is always that about context, but also about the limits, about the borders. So also that factor matters. And when we start something to organize in our mind, we give it a go. So we have one fact from underneath, and on the other hand, we also have a factor that gives us a feedback, the red zone again, that says stop to and gives us limits. The same way we have the three zones. ATK is also a centralized zone, an opened up zone in T, and a limiting zone. You can also see them in that way. So go upwards, go into the horizontal frame as well in the spatial factor, and the no zone going down will be recognized everywhere. So AT and K will be our starting point with a go upwards and a stop downwards. And when we continue to go and continue with what we are recognizing, we are still following what we recognize in you as the yes factor, and as what we do not recognize. If we follow that path, or what now we follow the limits, what we have, we follow that in B actually. And there will be the helpful counter effects. It's not only about pushing from you, it's also about pushing from somewhere else. When you give it a go in you, where you say yes, you deal with its limitations, where it says, okay, stop, not now, don't use that center now, don't use the centers to that degree now. The counter effect, you deal with the counter effect to you stop yourself in time before you say the yes. In the nose as well, so with the K, where you say I don't know it, it's not always, you don't always have to limit yourself all the time. At some point, you have a counter effect where it says no, just leave it like that. You don't have to limit yourself endlessly. You can continue here. It can bring you something. The limits will also be limited. There will be limited borders at that point. And you have an openness. That's what it is. You have an openness in you to the yeses of the unknown. And in B, you will have an openness to the no's of the unknown. You don't know all the no's. You don't know all the yeses. You keep an eye in it. You keep an eye on it. And the last category will have all the yeses together with the feedback, where you will notice that the yeses, the real yeses, if you really have a good balance in the yeses, that you know when the yeses can have a go, because of the from an immediate feedback, you also have the last letter in your center point of vision. It's actually why A is your center, and the next thing U is like, it can be anyone's center, it can be even your center. The C is the center. It's the neutrality itself. It says, okay, I can use that center. It's not necessarily mine center, your center. It's the center. I can use that center focus all the time. It's always a right starting point, because it's what I know, what I understand, and that's where I go for. That's the C. The same thing in M. It's just where you have these open choices. In L, in T, you had a choice, what you took out, and you say, oh, I made that choice. I have something useful. In L, it's not just useful. It is making itself useful. It's showing its usefulness. In M, it's showing all of its material. It shows all its choices, all its counter effects of dealing with it. It's following up the material, and that's the right follow-up of the material of what is growing there as well, like in the green part. And the same thing also in the last category. In X, it is knowing where to stop everything. It is the real border. It's the real limits. You understand your limits, all the limits. You understand the limits. It's the right halt to continue with your choices in space as well. You cannot go further. It's the last letter of space as well. So how will we now do have an example with two letters? Then I have the letter B and I have the letter L. And how do we combine them in the two different orders? We know that the B is limited in our push, in our own push of understanding. It is in a way confronted in the no factor a lot. It is confronted, and it's showing only its limits of what is becoming bigger, or how it is growing in general. It has a limit to all of its materialization processes. Combined with the letter L, there you have the choice. That's that free choice in the middle, where T is at what you recognize, L is what is establishing itself by choice. It is materializing itself further. So while B is limiting itself, L is making choices. So now we can combine these two elements and understand what it is. So while B is not, is actually, you keep it open to fill it in, because you're limited also to have it filled in, while L is filling it in. It's that openness to fill in. So it is actually that readiness to be filled in. And there you have it. It's not filled in. You have something that is not filled in, shows its limits, where it can be filled in, but it's not filled in, while L is the starting point of where you can start filling it in. If you take all the letters with B and L, they are also characteristic of that, these features of these borders, where the no factor or the not filling it in also with your interpretation is recognizable, and the L is you go up for the choices and you try to fill it in. That emptiness of that space where you start from is blank, is correct. Blonde, I'm not sure about that, but it's also one of these words where it's not, you could also say it as not being colored. Bland, bleak, all a bit the same thing. Blad is a Dutch word which means actually two things. It can be a piece of paper. It's actually also that empty paper. Leaf is not 100% perfect, like blood. I don't think it's 100% perfect. How do you say, like, okay, it's filled in? Of course it's filled in somewhere. I don't know. Belated, belong, beloved. You have some verbs with B and then L, which are all referring to that something is not in continuation, but it is like it has to be continued. Belated is which will be continued at some point. That's more or less what I see in here. So it's to be filled in, can still be associated with it. It's not perfect what I'm doing here, but it's just in this investigation you can understand how some things can already be recognized. Words with E will not be so well, because E is about really filling in the gaps. So you have that in blink of the eye, and that's also that emptiness which is very quickly filled in. Blitz, same thing, filled in. You almost have this whiteness at the end as well. Blind, maybe as well. It's also, I'm not sure if that is filled in. It's like blank. It's almost not filled in, but it's not no more ready to be filled in. It remains actually almost like a function on its own. And the opposite is, of course, the B makes this border. So when you first have the B when you have the B as an end result, as an L first, then it's almost like you can't push your choices any more further, because they are limited by B. So by choosing, choose by your choices, by the free choices, you cannot push them too hard because they are limited. And is that also correct with words with in this combination? It should show you also that everything which you form there will be a bit restricted within a certain frame, which you can imagine in lab. Not sure about lobe. I'm not sure about that. Labeling, yes, I can recognize that. Lobbying, yes. Labiel is a Dutch word, which is difficult to translate. It's translated as erratic. And if you add the letter M as a materialization process to its full, lamp, I know the lamp psychologically it quite fits as well, this restriction within the limits of its confinement. In that way it fits as well. It's open to further interpretation, but I hope already that you had some other vision, some other angle of realizing, and also learning the same things, just in other kinds of description as before. Okay, there are some books to prepare you. There's some Facebook page to inform you. There's some web page there as well, Sound Inform, to inform you of previous videos. Anyhow, thanks for watching. Bye.